Trying to get over a breakup isn't easy. The problem with that is it's possibly something that you didn't want to have happen. For those of you that did want the breakup, that's got a whole series of circumstances associated with it as well, depending on the situation and the reasons for why it's happened. Usually some silly negligent situation, but you're in tatters. It's finally happened. You've finally made your decision, and it's in place, it's in action, and it hasn't come with our objection. The other person's putting on tears, they're feigning sicknesses. I've had one female go to hospital, and they'll do all this stuff. The next thing they're in hospital, they're doing everything they can to get your attention, feigning sicknesses and other things. Oh, I need you to come and pick up this, or can I drop off that? And this is a way of trying to hang on to the relationship. And it doesn't do anybody any good. If the relationship's been proven to be defective, the blend between you and that person hasn't worked out for whatever reason, it's like a cake that's been burnt in the oven. You throw it in the bin. And it's time for many of you who have gone through enough and a lot over a serious duration of time to kick the bucket, to throw in the towel. The movie's finished, the curtains come back across the screen, the exit signs are lit up, and it's time to walk out. Now that doesn't line up with our faithfulness and loyalty, and it doesn't line up with what the vision was in meeting this person in the first place. It doesn't line up with the intimacy that you've shared. It doesn't line up with your devotion and faithfulness, but it does line up with what's right for you. Now, whether it's right for the other person or not, that's not your problem. And if you're a codependent, you'll always be one of these people that tries to put the other person first, and that's not a good idea. Because if the relationship was healthy, we wouldn't have to be do that, would we? We wouldn't have to be thinking about what the other person's going to do, where they're up to, what's going to happen to them, what they're going to do to me next, what's the next problem going to be, blah, blah, blah. Some people are so far out to hang on to their control and manipulation that they'll threaten suicide, then they'll feign a suicide. They're never going to. Some people actually do commit suicide, but a lot of them just threaten it to maintain a sense of control and manipulation over the person that they're using for that. And if they do commit suicide, it's not on you unless you've done something to cause it. See, a lot of you people are taking responsibility for things that aren't your responsibility. It's up to that person. These people usually are adults, young adults. It's irrelevant. By the time you're 18, you should have everything figured out to be able to navigate life in a way in which is going to benefit their world and the world around them. And if that's not happening, then that's on them. A lot of these people have been looked after properly. They have been raised properly. And they still refuse to live a happy, normal life. It's not that hard. I think the best place for many of you people to try and get to is to come back, if you can, if it's not a doctor's not a necessity due to serious mental health and physical issues where you're following doctor's orders and things, and it's legit. A lot of these people are doing that, and it's not legit. They like the chemicals and they like the drugs and stuff. If you can come out of that, the best results I've seen are the people that come out of that step by step, back to themselves, and they find themselves and their mind without the chemical intrusions and assistances that they get from the things that they take. And that train going through now is called the Southern Aurora. I'm pretty sure it might not be. It's one of those XPTs, fast trains. But if you can micro-incrementally, step by step, reduce the toxins that you're putting into your body, that gives you a better chance to recalibrate and turn around things so that you're naturally able to look after yourself in a way in which diet, sleep, exercise, and these types of things enable you to get your life back. You are taking your life back. You're taking your mental health back. You're taking your physical health back in a way in which you rely on yourself as far as you can without being silly and negligent to get things right. Now, I could have been taking painkillers for this ankle, for the serious injury on that ankle. But I chose not to. I chose to exercise. I chose to be determined about how I was going to look after myself. I didn't listen to the people around me that were saying, do this, do that. I knew from other injuries that I'd had over the years that if I determine myself, I'll be able to beat it. I've said this before in other videos. Last year I did 3,652 kilometers of exercise. This year was a little bit slower. I've had some things going on, but I did over, well, it seems to be that I did over 2,000. I haven't got the stats in yet, but well over 2,000 kilometers. I've got a good start this year with some good runs with the hydrofoiling and other forms of exercise. I get out and train the dog. It's not my dog, it's the daughter's dog. These are the micro-incremental things that will help you and enable you and encourage you to come back to yourself. And you always get a sense of satisfaction with the small wins. You'll have small wins. You'll get small gains. You might smoke less. You'll have a couple of cones less, and you'll notice that you start to save significant amounts of money. I was just thinking this morning, I don't do any of that stuff. I just buy fruit and veggies, and fruit and veggies are cheap, yet they're the greatest thing for your system. And the money I've saved and the things that I've managed to be able to have. That I'm grateful for. And you can do the same. If somebody else can do it, you can do it. It's just a matter of putting your mind to it and saying, yeah, I can do it. It's a new day. I'm tired of this. I don't want to feel like this anymore. There has to be a better way. I want to experience that. I'm going to make the effort. Instead of just giving in to the easy way, sometimes taking the hard way is the one that brings the light to the situation. But too many people just sit in the darkness. It's easy to sit in the dark. You're not confronted by anything. You don't have to focus on anything, and you just get left there. Those that sit in the dark get left in the dark. Got all the trains heading out to take people to Sydney. From Gosford, Newcastle to Sydney. And people just get left sitting in the dark. It's like if you miss a train, you're just left sitting on the platform. Time isn't something that you should waste, but many of you have wasted so much of it. It's embarrassing, humiliating and demoralizing, but you can turn that around while you live. You can turn your life around, and that's what these videos are for. It's to bring a consciousness. It's not just about being negative, it's about bringing a consciousness for life. Waking people up to the things that are pulling them down, the people that are pulling them down, and bringing them to a consciousness where they go, hang on a sec, no, I'm more valuable than this. I refuse to live this way any longer. I'm not going to be reduced to somebody else's poor way of living and poor way of having a relationship. I'm going to turn my life around. I'm going to determine myself to live in a way in which I'm going to benefit and have peace and serenity. That hasn't happened with this particular person. I'm happy to count my losses. Whatever they decide to do is up to them. And you move on. You just say to them, look, I'm sorry this hasn't worked. No hard feelings. And away you go. You move on. You haven't got the time to be in the if and buts and this and that and who's coming and who's going nonsense of this world. There are covert, evil people. They don't know that they are, but you have to figure that out yourself and say to yourself, look, I can't deal with this nonsense anymore, and move on and leave that person alone and start your rehabilitation process.